So we may have finally found the line for Ted Cruz, a line that he will not cross. And it's apparently at Nazis. Oh, well, hey, at least he has a line, right? Now, the Texas senator on Friday urged residents of a Chicago area congressional district to vote not for the Republican candidate, but for a Democrat, or to write in, if they can't stomach voting for a Democrat, write in a Republican who has no chance of winning. Well, that's interesting. Why would he do that? Well, it turns out that the person in question, the politician in question, that Ted Cruz is railing against on the Republican side happens to be an avowed open Nazi. Now, this is, of course, Arthur Jones. Now, Politico had put out a story about Jones, and Ted Cruz saw it, and he came across it on Twitter, and he was like, holy crap, we cannot vote for this guy. I'll give you the full quote here in a minute. Now, Arthur Jones is running against Democratic Representative Dan Lipinski in a heavily Democratic district that includes portions of Chicago and the south suburbs. Now, because of the location, a lot of people are saying, well, it's very, very unlikely that a Nazi is going to win in Chicago. For me, in this crazy topsy-turvy world, I'm like, are you so sure? I mean, pretty much anything can happen at this point, or at least I've come to expect just about anything to happen. So the idea of a Nazi winning in Chicago, not so far-fetched to me. So I think it's dangerous to minimize his chances. And even if he gets 5% of the vote, that's still disastrous because he's a Nazi. Anyway, I mean, look, nobody thought that Donald Trump was going to win the presidency. People laughed. People laughed. Well, at least in the mainstream. A lot of us progressives said if you nominate Hillary Clinton, who is a terrible Democratic candidate, who's the establishment, you're going to lose to Trump. But Trump's not a Nazi. He's more like, I don't know, like a really dumb, neutered version of Mussolini. But anyway, that's probably the worst that I could come up with. But look, Jones is a literal Nazi. He's like, oh yeah, I deny the Holocaust. Millions of Jewish people died in the Holocaust. Yep, didn't happen. Fake news. This guy's insanity. But anyway, look, I'm not the only one that's worried. Apparently, Ted Cruz also super worried, and a lot of Republicans too. Now, his tweet, he said, "This is horrific. An avowed Nazi running for Congress. To the good people of Illinois, you have two reasonable choices. Write in another candidate or vote for the Democrat." Wow. He's also said, "This bigoted fool should receive 0 votes." Fuck. I agree with Ted Cruz. Oh, this is bad. Look, he may be underestimating the hatred inside of the GOP base. This is a hatred that they have cultivated over decades of propaganda and demagoguery. So, look, he might be underestimating how much hate there is even in Chicago for minorities. So, we're going to have to see. But I also may be overestimating his chances because of how crazy the last 2 years have actually been, and how many of these kinds of people have been coming out of the woodwork to actually run competitive campaigns. I mean, look at Doug Jones, who he went up against. He was a pedophile, and the guy almost won. So, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm overestimating it or if he's underestimating it, but we're going to have to see. I mean, look, it is Chicago. It's a relatively safe district for Democrats. So it doesn't surprise me the GOP there didn't run a candidate, even though that guy is horrific. They're like, we're not going to waste money on this guy because he's going to lose. So what's the point? Well, they also said the same thing, well, maybe they didn't actually say the same thing, but there are similar sentiments about progressives running in a lot of races. They're never going to win, so we're just not going to spend money to run a primary against them. And guess what? They ended up, progressives, winning their primaries. So, I don't know. It's a brave new world, man. And by brave new world, I mean it's insane. So, but anyway, if he does get 5% of the vote, that means 5% of Republicans are actually okay with a Nazi and think, oh, no, that guy, he's better than the Democrat. And look, with the amount of propaganda out there and demagoguery and hatred against Democrats and liberals and progressives, I wouldn't be surprised if he did get a decent percentage of those votes. So that in itself is incredibly sad. And it's also sad that people are giving credit to Ted Cruz for calling out an avowed Nazi. This is basically the lowest thing. Going after Nazis is America 101. We kind of made punching Nazis a thing, right? So you guys don't get any credit for sounding like a basic human being. And the fact that this is even a story in Politico, no less, it just shows how low the bar is in the era of Trump. Real low. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.